Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fortified Life podcast, where we are passionate about developing a dependency on Jesus in the marketplace. I'm your host, Jason Davis, aka Mr. Fortify. Every week, we have the opportunity to have on authors, speakers, coaches, CEOs, leaders of nonprofits who are also passionate about putting God back in business. And, folks, it's no different this week. I'm very excited for our guest, and I can't wait to have this conversation. She comes through a mutual contact, and Beth Copeland, shout out to GCBN, the Georgia Christian Business Network. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is Ty Renee Woods. She's the founder and CEO of BusinessGrants, Inc., a tech powered platform helping mission driven nonprofits and for profit founders access non dilutive, debt free funding to grow their impact. With over 20 years of experience and degrees in business administration and nonprofit management, Ty has helped organizations secure millions of dollars in grants, sponsorships, and government contracts. She has built both a $1 million nonprofit and a thriving business, giving her a rare dual perspective on sustainability and funding. Through her AI grant writer certification, grant matching app, and online community, she helps founders to scale with strategy and faith. Ty's mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs and organizations secure billions in funding by 2030. She's been married for over 20 years, has 3 children, and is an active volunteer in her church and community. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fortified Life, Ty Woods. Ty, how are you doing today?
Man, I had to think about who he was talking about in that bio. Man, I'm just at oh wow, I'm just at all with God and His amazing favor over my life right now. So that was awesome. Can
Absolutely.
I just have you like in my back pocket? I'm gonna record that part, and I'm just gonna have you do my intro everywhere I go. I say, hold on, I'm gonna introduce myself.
I'm okay with that. I am totally fine with that. Well, Ty,
uh,
to that point, people they hear and they read that bio and they go, "Oh my gosh, that is Wonder Woman right there." And I know you said it's a favor of the Lord, but maybe give our audience the um what was the journey like? We know you just didn't wake up in 2025 and you have a nonprofit, you're raising millions in funding. You're very balanced and you understand both the nonprofit space and business, which is kind of a rarity because some people in both sides of the coin, they kind of struggle sometimes. Like, yeah, I understand sales, but ooh, now I gotta ask people for money, or hey, I understand asking people for money on the nonprofit side, but I kind of struggle with the sales thing. So you have a breadth of experience, but talk to us about the journey and how you got to where you are today.
so it was I once was a twinkle in my mother's eye. No, no, I'm not going to start back that far. I'm going to start from when I was a homeless youth in Covenant House, California. And
Hmm.
I want to start there because when I found myself after numerous just tragic events that happened that led me to becoming homeless at 19, I
Wow.
realized that the organization that was there that I was able to go to that not only gave me food to 3 square meals a day and housed me and helped me get a job and helped me go back to college. I was like, who's paying for all this?
Hmm.
And it started the cycle of me, the search of how do you pay for this? And so I started working at nonprofit educational institutions to learn that administration side, the fundraising side, the development side at a very early age. And so I ended up graduating from the Covenant House, California program. And I'm to this day one of their success stories because when you graduate from the program, the goal is for you to become a self sufficient adult and to be able to give
Hmm.
back has been an amazing opportunity for me. So I started that journey, and then when I met my husband, at that time, my friend, and he told me what he wanted to do with, one day when I get older, we were both around 22, 23, and he said, one day when I get older, I just want to be able to be a blessing to God's people, and I just want to give back. So, well, we have to be successful first in order to do that. And we started this journey together on learning more about business, because we
Mm.
felt like the way that God was going to do that through us was through business and real estate. So my husband, when we got married, my husband and I, we immediately started working on our first business, and it was called G1 Publishing. It was a publishing company, and we created cards and printed just all kind of printed things. And we sold that business, and
Mm.
we moved here from the Virgin Islands, where we were missionaries for about 4 or 5 years. And when we moved to Atlanta, we saw this huge real estate opportunity. And from there, we started purchasing real estate, and then we got swindled by the developers
Oh
and lost
no.
6 figures in just
Wow.
1 month. And it was devastating. We had to start from scratch, and now we were back at zero when the recession hit. We couldn't do anything but pray and ask God for a strategy. And
Mm.
while all of this is happening, and during the recession, what happens? The arts teachers started losing their jobs. They started, removing jobs from this. And of course, the arts is not that important, they say, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so they take the arts out of the schools during the recession. And now we have all of these kids without the opportunity to express themselves while in school. And we thought, well, we're pretty creative, and we have all this equipment. We should really look at doing something about this. So we put out flyers. Now, I'm
Mm.
going to tell people not to do this, but I created flyers, and I went to the bus stops of the high schoolers, and I passed out the flyers. Here I am, 20 at that point, 24 in 2008, somewhere in my 20s. And I'm passing out flyers at the high school bus stops, telling them,
Mm.
"Hey, I'm creating this Friday night. It's going to be like a party, but it's not a party. You're going to get a chance to learn more about the arts." And then we just like throw in some Bible study in there, but they didn't know it was called Bible study because we covered it up in the form of arts education. and so and so the first night, 3 kids showed up. And we're like, okay, all right. And 2 of the kids, we knew the parents. So it was like, okay, we got something though. The kids went and got their friends. And every week it continued to grow. By the end of the summer, we had 40 kids in our 2-bedroom apartment. And we were
Wow.
like, okay, we got something here. And then they didn't want to leave. We were like, okay, guys, time to go home. And they would just want to hang out. We had my husband, who was a music producer at the time. He was like, I have this equipment. They can learn how to make beats. They can learn how to rap. And I have a background in theater and vocal. And I was like, okay, let's create a singing group and let's do this. And we started really honing in on these arts gifts. And we were
Mm.
like, what is it? Asking my husband, what is it that we're doing here? And that's what we created Art Opportunity Knox. That was the birth of Art Opportunity Knox. So in 2008, Art Opportunity Knox was born. That's ART. So it's opportunity, it's a spin on Opportunity Knox. Because what we were giving kids was the opportunity to explore the arts. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we did that, we said, okay, we can't have them here. Our apartment complex is complaining, and we need to do something. We need a building. So everything that we started praying for this organization started manifesting because we started first. A lot of
Mm.
times people wait until, like, I'm just waiting on God. I'm waiting to hear from God. And God, like, if you just start, go. Faith is now. So you just start, and then God will start bringing the resources. If you don't have the money, I guarantee you the money will come when you
Mm,
are walking, when you're walking.
my goodness.
That's how we got here. It's now the 16th year of the organization, was the 17 years of the organization's existence. We now have second generation of students in our program. So those
Wow.
kids that were kids in 2008 now have kids in our program today. And we have, of course, I had to learn how to raise money really quickly. And I learned through trial and error, but then someone took me under their wing and trained me on how to raise money for a nonprofit. And that's when I started raising millions.
Mm. Now, Ty, now hold on. We got real estate, we got the arts,
I
we
try to tell
got
you.
business. What would you say, especially having experience in both, what are maybe some misconceptions that it's kind of twofold question. Misconceptions people have about the nonprofit space, and then maybe for our nonprofit people, some misconceptions they have about the business side, in your opinion.
Well, the number one misconception about the nonprofit space is that you can't make money.
Mm,
The number one, because they think the word nonprofit means that you can't generate a profit. In order to, for your organization to be sustainable, your profit turning is from you don't over raising. You over raise what you need so that you can go into the next year with a positive cash flow.
hmm
So a lot of times what people do is, and I actually, excuse me, I actually received a phone call recently from one of my students, and they said, "Well, I'm going to have money at the end of the year. So am I supposed to just empty out the bank account and make it go back to zero or what?" I said, "No, no, no, no. That's not what you do. No,
hmm
a nonprofit just simply means that you don't have shareholders. The owner doesn't take equity stake in the business. You don't have dividends that's coming to you. Instead, the investment is going back into the community, it's going back into the organization, and you redirect those extra funds to other causes that you probably missed the previous year. That's all that means. So I'm going to tell all nonprofits to try to make a profit so that you can have funds during the for the next fiscal year.
hmm
On the business side, I'm going to tell you this. I have yet to learn the art of the sale. I have yet to learn the art of the sale. I believe that the best way to grow your business is relationships and marketing. And those that relationship marketing, and if you're saying I don't want to go on social media, I just don't do that stuff, you're already missing out on the relationship building piece. Let me tell you something. I have built some of my strongest business relationships by Instagram DMs and LinkedIn emails. And so if you don't think that building those relationships is important, then you're missing out on a critical aspect of your business growth.
hmm
So I would say if you are interested in growing your business, you're going to have to reach out to people. You got to be a people's person. And if you're not the people's person, hire somebody who is.
hmm That's huge. That's huge, Ty. I think that's a perfect segue, Ty, with your experiences because you are someone that has been involved in multiple ventures in your life. So we already talked about art opportunity. Talk to us about, um, we'll start with businessgrants.com. Tell us about that, and then we'll get into, because folks, she's also an author. But let's start with businessgrants.com. What is that, and how do you serve people through that entity?
So business grants Inc. has two entities under it. It has BusinessGrants.com and BusinessGrants.io.
Mm.
BusinessGrants.io is the technology, it's the app that fuels this grant match that I built, this algorithm that I built to help funders match with nonprofit slash businesses. So
Mm.
what you do is you put your information in one time, and then the algorithm does the work, the rest of the work. It goes out. It's AI powered, so it's looking for live grants for you, and then it'll take you over to Sandy, our in-house AI grant writer, and tell you this is how
Mm.
you're going to apply for this grant. So that technology has been 10 months in the making, and it was just recently released in October 25. Then you have businessgrants.com, which is the coaching slash education slash community. And that's where you have the hands on teaching from myself, from other experts in this field, in the fundraising field and grant writing field. And every week, you're going to get someone from our community who's going to train you on how to write grants, how does grant judges judge grants, because that's another thing. If you don't know how they judge in the grants, then you don't know exactly what you need to put in the grants. So
Mm.
sometimes we put what we want to put instead of putting what the grant judges want to hear. And as
Mm.
long as you're being authentic and honest in your application, you're going to get a grant. There's so many people out there that are not, they're doing good things in the community, but they've never won a grant. And I'm like, why? You should have already won a grant by now if you're in the second year, at least in your second year of serving the community. So
Mm.
my job is to get that information out to the community and to the business owners, because there are grants for-profit business and nonprofits. So a lot, that's the biggest misconception, is that there aren't any grants for-profits. But instead of telling them, hey, there's no grants out there for you, I I will first go and look in my businessgrants.io grants match system to see if there is a grant for you. I just found
Mm.
recently that there is a grant even for those who have podcasts.
Wow.
Yes, there was a podcast grant. The application just recently closed. That grant was for $25,000. So imagine if you had
Wow.
a $25,000 grant, which, by the way, I have a podcast that I won a grant, and I was able to get equipment like this lighting equipment. I wish I could show you, but oh, well, actually, I can show you guys. It's just give you a little. So I have like these lights here. We have even great video makers. We have video screens here. All of this was bought with grant, and cameras in the back. All of that was bought with grant funds.
Wow. That's awesome, Ty. Grants for podcasts too. That is huge. So, folks, if you're, this is why you come to the Fortified Life. You get the behind the scenes straight from our
Yeah.
guests. So, folks, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, or if you have a podcast, look, I mean, equipment. I mean, just think about that. Cameras, lighting. That is huge, Ty. Thank you for all your resources. And speaking of being resourceful, she's also an author. Folks, stay with me. We talked about nonprofit grants. It keeps getting better. So, Ty, you wrote The House the Pigs Built with Seven Bricks, Building an Organization to Last. What's the big idea around that book, and what are some key takeaways you'd like readers to leave with?
Okay, so this book, I do believe, came straight from heaven through my 3-year old. I was telling
Mm.
her the story about the three little pigs. And as I was going through the story, I started getting the correlation between the type of mindset the pig with the straw house had, and then
Hmm.
there was the stick house, and then there was the brick house. And they all had three different mindsets. And I was like, wait a minute,
Mm.
this wasn't just a house. These pigs thought differently, and they built their house based on the way they were thinking. And I think that there are so many business owners out there who are just like those pigs who they want to prop a house up real quick, which is AKA your business. And so
Mm-hmm.
you have those hay house businesses out there. They barely have their LLC. They have an EIN or maybe not. They don't have any other foundational things in place. They don't have a website. They don't have social media. They don't have a nonprofit. I'm talking about for profits right now, but
Sure.
the book was written for nonprofits, and then the for profit book is coming out very soon. But
Mm.
it goes hand in hand. Both are going to talk about the three little pigs, and all of them have the seven bricks are the seven foundational. Just all of the about foundation. The
Mm-hmm.
foundation of your business is why the big bad wolf can't blow it down. So when I talk
Mm-hmm.
about the big bad wolf, I'm talking about circumstances and situations that could possibly knock your house down. So
Wow.
what happens when the IRS comes and audits your business as a nonprofit? Well, if it was built with hay, you're not going to stand. They're going to blow your house down. If you have your financials in order, then your house will stand. But then let's say you have horrible HR practices and you have no SOPs, which is the stick house. You have no SOPs, which are standard operating procedures. So that means every time somebody is hired, they're doing something different in that role. And as a
Mm-hmm.
result, you don't have continuity in the way that your business is being delivered. So now somebody can then leave a bad review. Big bad wolf. They're going to go on Amazon. They're going to go on Google or Yelp, and they're going to leave a bad review. And reviews can knock a house down.
Yeah.
One bad review from the right person can knock a house down.
Mm.
And so that's why we move over to the brick house and all of the bricks that's in the brick house. And I want you guys to get the book because I talk about what each brick is and why it's important to have those bricks in place in order for your house to get not knocked down. Now, it won't get knocked down the regular way like the other houses. However, in the book, The Three Little Pigs, the brick house, the big bad wolf climbed through the chimney to get on
Mm-hmm.
the inside. So I talk about the wolf that's on the inside. That could be
Mm.
pride, the wolf that's on the inside. Bad hires, like bad employees. That's the wolf on the inside is how your house gets blown away. It gets imploded. It doesn't get blown away. It goes down from the inside out. AKA, you got people on jumbotrons, being cut up. I'm not talking about, what I'm talking about. There's some major scandals that's going on right now because the wolf on the inside wasn't dealt with.
Yeah. That's good.
So it's important that even though you may be a brick house, your house is solid. You guys have SOPs, you have your LLC in order, you have your EINs on the nonprofit side, you have your bylaws, you got a board of directors, fundraising team, you have all these things in place, your marketing, social media, and then you get down to the wolf that's on the inside. And because you're not
Mm.
doing the work on yourself, now pride, because a prideful leader can take a house down as well.
Absolutely. Man, that is huge. Folks, make sure you go out and get a copy. I already bought it. I told Ty before we got on. I made sure it's not just about supporting her. These bricks are foundational to an organization. So again, make sure the house the pigs built was seven bricks, building an organization that lasts. Ty, where can they get a copy of your book?
So all of the books are available on Amazon.com right now. It is amazing that I am able to be a blessing in this way. It's only $9.99, so it's not super expensive. You guys can go to Starbucks and spend more than that. And I want everyone to now. By the way, If you don't know what the bricks are or you need help with the bricks, that's why I created my community on school.com. So I have a
Mm,
school community, SKOOL, a school community called Business Grants, actually, school.com/business grants. And it's called the $1 Million Grant Club. And the
mm,
whole mission of this community is to help you establish those bricks so that you can become a part of the $1 Million Grant Club.
mm. I love it. And folks, will have all of Ty's information in the show notes. Ty, I could go another 3 hours with you, but we've got to get her back to conquering the world and walking in her kingdom purpose. Ty, before we go, two things. What are you most excited about in 2026? And what is the best way for listeners to reach out to you, keep up with you, social media, website? So, excitement for 2026, and how can people reach out to you?
So my number one goal is to make grant writing and grant accessibility more affordable and more because it is very expensive to hire a grant writer. Even now with
Mhm.
AI, you're going to pay about 1,500 to 2,500 for a grant writer, a professional
Got it.
grant writer like me. And so what I've done is partnered with an amazing company that will allow you all to get a grant written for you for
Mm.
$222. That's it.
Wow.
$222. And you can get a grant written that's worth up to 2.5 million. And guess what? If you win that grant, we'll help you manage it so that you don't lose it. You win that amount, trust me, you're going to need some management practices with you, and we won't charge you a whole ton of money to do that. It's going to be a small percentage of the grant, so you won't have to pay out of pocket. We are paying ourselves through the grant after that. But let me tell you something, you have certified grant writers that are waiting and ready to help you grow your business, and that's what we're ready to do for only $222. Can you believe that? That's
Yeah, that's
amazing.
huge. My
That's amazing.
goodness.
So that's what I'm working on in 2026 is accessibility, giving the access to a quality grant writer for such a low amount that anybody could afford it, any business could afford it. And if you need help with a grant that is very complicated, you'll have somebody to come to for only $222.
Wow. Major, major breakthrough right there. And then Ty, you dropped so much knowledge, wisdom. Now, and folks, we'll have all these links, but where can they go, Ty? You got websites, you got nonprofits,
I
you got
know.
business.
I
What's the
know.
best way for people to find you?
Okay, first follow me on social media. So I'm on Instagram mostly. So you want to go to Instagram and type in Ty Woods Get Grants. It's an easy one. Ty Woods Get Grants on TikTok and Ty Woods Get Grants on Instagram. Then if you go over to businessgrants.com, sign up for our community. It is free. By the way, our community is free. So you can join the community and get all of this wise education for free while it's still free because it's only free for the first 1,000 members. And we
Mhm.
are climbing rather quickly because we were like, I get access to Tide for free. Yes, you can get access to me twice a week for free. And if you're
Wow.
showing up, you're going to get some valuable education that's going to help push the needle. We have people in our community winning grants now. So just know this is that right there is gold mine. Join the community at school.com/business grants. And then all you have to do is have a little bit of faith, just the size of a mustard seed. If you were thinking about starting your own nonprofit or starting your own business, we have a product or package that can help you that is very affordable to help you get started the right way.
Mhm.
Starting out with bricks is easier than starting as a hay house and then having to take that down and then put the bricks in. Okay. So let's just start out the right way. And if you are a hay house or stick house, that's okay. That's okay. Just recognize that you are. Come over to businessgrants.com so that we can help you build your bricks.
I love it, folks. You heard it directly from Ty herself. So we'll have everything that her school, community, Instagram, websites. You will know how to get in touch with her. Ty, I cannot thank you enough for hanging out with us here on the Fortified Live. We're gonna have to do this again, and
Yes.
uh,
Thank
and
you
and then
so
do
much.
like maybe a deep dive on maybe the grant writing process or
Oh, yeah. We didn't
something.
even touch that.
Yeah,
This is
so
way
folks, I
back.
could tell you, she will be back. Ty Woods will be back. We'll have another session and we'll go deeper. But Ty, just thank you so much for being a guest on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you all for listening.
Yes. Well, folks, you know how we leave things. Don't compartmentalize your faith in the marketplace. And from the boardroom to the bathroom, God is with you. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Fortified Life podcast on your podcast platform of choice. And then support our YouTube channel at the Fortified Life. Um, God continues to make an impact on this show. We'll see you next time on the Fortified Life podcast.